One of the more classic Half-Life mods has to be Heart of Evil. It goes way back. It's a Vietnam War mod heavily inspired by Apocalypse Now, and it has two versions, the regular version and Napalm Edition. There's a lot of heart put into it. Some of the humor definitely dates back to that era, but it's still pretty quirky and fun, and it does a lot with its premise. It just hasn't aged the best when it comes to gameplay choices. Some might say the humor hasn't aged as well, which, I mean, fair. There's stuff like all your base belong to us jokes, but otherwise it's fine. The issue itself is the gameplay, and it seems like it'd be the perfect choice for a Relit mod. So I was hyped when Heart of Evil Relit popped up on my ModDB page. I downloaded it immediately, and I was quickly drawn in by it. It definitely has a lot of promise.
Barney here has told me all about the purpose of your mission. He says you want to take the Colonel away.
I had no choice. He said he wouldn't be my friend if I didn't tell him. I hope that you can find it in your heart to forgive me.
The premise of Heart of Evil, for those who don't know, is, again, taken heavily from Apocalypse Now. You're playing as a captain in the US military. You're living in Saigon when you're recruited into a job to assassinate a US Army officer who's gone off the deep end and started his own private war against the Northern Vietnamese forces. Things get more complicated when part of the US forces try to protect him and go against your orders. And then things get even muddier when zombies appear, thanks to what appears to be an outbreak of crawfish that parasitically control their hosts, sort of like the head crabs. Coupled with the appearance of aliens and rogue US forces, North Vietnamese forces, it turns into a massive melee of different factions, and you're just trying to get north, take out your target, and get out of there. Accompanying you is Barney, a slow-witted but well-meaning US soldier who's pretty ride or die on helping you. He comes in handy as an ally. You don't usually have to babysit him as much, but there are issues with the way he has pathfinding. The arsenal in Heart of Evil is really fun. It's your typical Vietnam War era collection of guns, so you've got a machete for a melee weapon, an M1911 pistol, an N79 grenade launcher, an M16, an AK, an M60 machine gun, an RPG, along with some unique choices like snarks from Half-Life, which aren't really reskinned at all, they're just the snarks. The trip mine, which has been converted into a claymore that enemies will walk into and detonate as a proximity mine, and some other oddities you'll come across. It's a pretty well-balanced arsenal. Ammo is varied, guns sound good, animate well, they count for the +1 ammo mechanic, and they have both empty and partial reloads. It's a lot of detail. It's been a while since I played Napalm Edition, so I forgot if that was a factor. But regardless, it looks cool, and combat's fun. Enemies have enough health to present threats, but they aren't overpowered. Your guns feel like they do an appropriate amount of damage. It does start off strong, but issues quickly pop up. Again, the Relit series works really well for touching up old Half-Life mods and getting them more up to speed, with not just the updates Half-Life has gotten, but with certain gameplay mechanics. This Relit mod doesn't go far enough, and that really hampers how it plays. Heart of Evil has always had very questionable puzzle design. That is still the case here, despite some efforts made to mitigate that. There will be steps in puzzles that you can't take until you complete the first. So, even though there are things that you would like to do to take care of puzzles earlier on, that isn't always possible.
Looks pretty quiet around here.
So, like, there's an initial puzzle involving you needing to take out a VC sniper who has an RPG, And to get rid of him, you don't blow up the building or fire into it to get rid of him. You have to tie a rope to a jeep, find the keys to the jeep, and then activate it to knock down a pillar that is holding up the building and kill the VC sniper. Or much later on, around, I'd say, the midpoint of the mod, there's a very frustrating segment where you're around a US Army base that's been overrun by zombies. The initial combat is strong, and it's fun to go up against this unique enemy type alongside the surviving rogue US forces. But the base is locked down, and to get through it, instead of needing keys, you're going to need crystals. It's poking fun at gameplay mechanics of that era of collecting strange objects to get through different obstacles. But this just leans into all those problems without really addressing them. So you'll go out of your way navigating through this labyrinth-like maze of a base to try to collect the right crystals to open up the right doors, and you'll find, oh, you collected the green crystal of freedom. And it turns out the door you've been trying to open all along requires a ruby crystal. Stuff like that sounds funny, but it really slows down the game's pacing. It kills it, for lack of a better term. You're left running around, retracing your steps, trying to figure out what item you need specifically. And it doesn't flow naturally. There isn't a logic behind how you navigate certain puzzles. There's a part where you have to reactivate a generator so an air vent will continue blowing, and you use that air vent to knock yourself across a roof so you can hop onto another roof and then jump into a hole on top of a barracks. Get yourself a crystal that doesn't even connect to any of the nearby buildings. It's just so roundabout, and it doesn't follow a train of logic. It doesn't feel like it makes sense. And I get it, that's part of the joke of the original mod, but it didn't play well, it wasn't good then. Relit was a chance to really address these issues, and it doesn't. It does add some nice quality of life features. It has it so that certain important objectives or areas will be marked with X's on your screen. They'll occasionally flicker into view, so you can follow them if nothing else. That is handy, and it does help you get out of some jams, but it isn't enough, especially when there are times it'll just direct you to locked doors or to loading zones where there are more locked doors that can't be opened, or doors that have to be opened from the other side.
I don't like the looks of him, sir. He looks a bit suspicious to me. I say we take our chances on our own. Well, killing him was a bit harsh, but shit happens, I guess. War is hell.
That midpoint area, that just kills all of the momentum of the mod. Whereas, like, even before then, when the puzzles were confusing, at least they still worked more or less. This just basically requires you to pull out a guide and to figure out where to go. It doesn't help that Barney has some issues with pathfinding. Again, he's a good ally, he's got good banter, he's really good with the pistol, but there are times when I had to, like, double back through caves and other places to get him to navigate specific areas because I'd need him to drive a truck for me because apparently my character couldn't drive a truck. Or I'd need him to open up a certain door because he only had the keys to it and I didn't. And that just, again, slows down the mod. It makes it feel a lot less polished than it should be. What made the Relit series work so well was fixing these issues. I know Heart of Evil is a tougher one to work on, but it's like, if you're going to go to all that trouble, at least go all the way of addressing the gameplay problems. Now granted, I'm happy that this was done with the original and not Napalm Edition, since Napalm Edition's always been kind of controversial. People are split on which version's better, and I generally think Enlightener made the right call with doing the original.
Stop staring at my secretary, Freeman. This isn't a high-end video game where your sidekick is some hot chick you can oogle with a set of binoculars.
Hey, baby, you want to play house? You come in the screen door, and I'll slam you all night long. Oh, yeah.
Excuse me!
There are 2 new levels. One is sort of a holdout survival mode called Village, where you're on this map where there are a ton of enemies from across the game. You have a handful of US allies, and you're trying to kill every enemy in the village. Again, there are zombies, aliens, Viet Cong, everything. It's pretty neat, but the difficulty comes with some of the enemy types. Like, again, the RPG enemy will just spam rockets at you and absolutely kill you even if you just peek around a corner. They're very tiresome to deal with, and the only way to do so is to take advantage of enemy placements and hit them in a way where they can't see you. Because they have no self-preservation. They won't drop the RPG or swap weapons if you're too close. The other one is called Alamo, and it has you fighting your way through a NVA-controlled village to open up a safe. To collect keys, open the safe. And that's neat. That's like a mini-campaign. It reminds me of that mini-campaign made for HoE Relit. I don't really have any issues with that. I mean, I'm not a fan of the collect-a-thon sort of levels, especially since this has similar issues of needing to find the right object and there not being a clear-cut line of logic behind it. But it can be forgiven for being a shorter campaign, and it's pretty action-packed and fun. The balancing's nice. It's just unfortunate because this could be better. This should be better. Heart of Evil is a classic Half-Life mod, and I enjoyed what I played here. The Relit editions are nice quality of life improvements. They make the mod play well, you don't need to downgrade Half-Life to make it work, and they complement the presentation. It's just that the really antiquated and frustrating door and key mechanics really needed to be dealt with, either cutting down on the number of crystals and keys needed, or making it more clear-cut on how to find them. Because unless you have a guide, a video one or a print one, then you're going to be stuck on that midpoint for a long time, and I don't really know if it's worth the payoff in the end.
I can see you're trying to flee. You're running from this undead enemy. You are here to kill a hero within. Your chances to complete this mission are starting to look slim.
That said, hats off to Enlightener for trying with this. Even if this is probably the most disappointing of the Relit series, he put in a good effort. And the parts that are fun were really fun. So, in some degree, it worked. Again, I just think it could have gone farther. What do you think? Have you guys played the original Heart of Evil or Heart of Evil Napalm Edition? Have you tried Relit? And if so, how does it compare? I noticed also that Half Rats, the first two mods in that series, got a Relit treatment. I'm going to be trying that out, because I really liked Red Ridge. I haven't played Parasomnia or Fever Dream yet. But yeah, shout out to Enlightener for working on this mod and for bringing Heart of Evil into the modern era of Half-Life. I might have my misgivings with it, but I appreciate the effort once again. Thank you all for watching. Take care.